Hey there, this is EJR. It's been a while, but I'm still here. I've got a lot of plans for you. Don't worry, there's lots to come. I'm here with a new format. You can see me now. It's not just only my voice. I have a pretty good interview for you. As you know, I'm switching sports all the time. And I've been into figure skating for some time, but things changed and unfortunately I had to give that up. It took me over 1 year, I guess, to finally decide to get out of the club. Now I'm officially out, so that's not an option for me anymore, sadly. But I've come into a new sport. And today's interview is actually about this new sport, which is Via Ferratas. It's more than climbing because you can do also some hiking in between. You can enjoy the view. It's not just about you and the rock, you and the mountain, but it's really you and the experience together. So you don't need to be really experienced to do this, but of course there are different levels. So we will explore all those things with JetSetYourself channel, which I've been following for some time, and it actually prepared me to learn, understand, and be safe while doing it. Because in the end, let's be honest, this is an extreme sport. You can literally die from just even a falling rock. It doesn't have to be something more serious, like extreme fall or whatever. It can be as simple as a rock falling on top of your head. So without further explanation, I really want you to enjoy this interview and all the experience that you can get from a person who really knows and who really has experienced over the time. Okay, so welcome to the podcast. We're thrilled to have you here on Aduthlete. For our listeners who might not be familiar, he is the creator behind the popular YouTube channel, JetSetYourself. And I got to know this channel just by chance. I was looking for getting into a new sport, Via Ferrata. And he was very helpful, to be honest, really. He shares his thrilling Via Ferrata adventures, hikes, and personal stories from around the world. And you really would like to go and check his channel. For those who might not know, a Via Ferrata is a protected climbing route, mainly found in the Alps region and certain other locations. The main features is that climbers are continuously tethered to a steel cable. So you're actually always protected and you have a kit with a shock absorber. To start, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your journey with your channel, JetSetYourself, and how come you started guiding your listeners about mountaineering and specifically Via Ferrata?
Hi, thank you for having me. Just to point out on the Via Ferrata, it started during the World Wars as a necessity. And now it transitioned to be a tourist attraction. And of course, it is in the Alps because you can only have them in the mountaineering areas. How did I start this? How did I start the channel recording the Via Ferrata journeys? From where the need came is out of necessity because at the time I wasn't experienced in climbing and reading maps. We humans actually are not that good at comprehending topographic maps. Hence, I was always scared in anticipation what might come next. I was eagerly searching to find some visual cue of what is ahead of me, and there is not enough content when it comes to the routes themselves. For me, inexperienced as I was, I felt this need to just see how the route goes high up towards the peak. There was nothing, and I thought, okay, I will buy an action camera, I will record the climbs, and then probably one day I will put them on YouTube for people to see it. I never gone through with it because the camera was not the right thing to use. You had the head shakes and impossible to follow. The routes sometimes are extremely long, 6 hours, maybe more. At the end of the day, nobody will watch that. And from there, I ended up working at what I'm doing now and maintaining the JetSetYourself YouTube channel. It is something that progressed from a personal need, and hopefully in time, test after test, attempt after attempt, fail after fail, I will be able to improve the content and just help people like me, as I was in the beginning, with no experience and no visibility, to get better comprehension of the routes they plan to climb and feel more safe and secure.
Yeah, so this feature I can really understand, because nowadays we have a lot of technology, right? But sometimes you still get lost, and maybe you don't have a connection, and it's really important. So personally, I felt that your channel was really helping me to be safe, you know, because you have so many variables in the end, and being safe, it's also one thing that you can be a little bit more relaxed, and then you can focus on finding the routes and climbing and all those activities that you have to do while you're there.
The thing with Via Ferrata is it gives access to practically anyone. You don't have to have experience. But this comes also with the limitation of not having the experience of reading the mountain. If you are an experienced rock climber, for example, or traditional rock climber, you have that acquired experience and you know exactly what to expect on how to read the environment around you. But a Via Ferrata climber usually goes straight from the couch on the mountain because a friend mentioned the thing, and as long as you have a safety equipment which you can rent, and you don't need a belay as in the rock climbing case, you are out there, exposed but with no experience. And this is the big challenge of Via Ferrata, and from here comes this need of us to visualize, because we go there with not enough experience to read the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So is climbing a Via Ferrata your first sport? You mentioned like you go from the couch to the mountain. So what did you do before, if you did something?
Actually, I literally gone straight from the couch on a Via Ferrata when I first time discovered it. I was searching for something more in terms of mountaineering. I wanted to actually socialize myself. It is why I was searching for different experiences. I kept browsing from a couch, and I stumbled into this organized trip on Via Ferrata. And I wondered what Via Ferrata is. I go on Wikipedia, I check, and I literally 5 minutes later was buying the gear to be able to go and climb. It was happening maybe on a Wednesday. On Saturday, I was on the Via Ferrata climbing.
That's pretty cool.
So it was straight from the couch, yes. But now, in terms of sports, it comes with a background. My mom, she insisted that I should wrestle, for example. When I was 5-6 years old, I did that, the Greek-Roman wrestling for a bit. But then, because I was a kid and inspired by it, I moved to Kyokushin Karate. It is full contact sports. I did that competitionally for quite a while before moving to boxing and Aikido, just to give myself the opportunity to explore more what discipline and sports is about, and make sure that I have a complete set of skills. Why? Because at the time my aim was to enroll in the military and do it as a living. It never happened, but yes, I spent the majority of my childhood into sports. The background comes from there. But as any one of us, I got into working 24/7, and sports became something secondary. I never been a fanatic of going to the gym, and also not afforded to do it. I was for many years sitting on a chair or working hard and not practicing anything. With time, the need to go out became more important than anything else, and I started to just do hikes, probably as anyone else, because it's the easiest thing to do, walk around. And from there, it evolved into alpine climbs, solo mountaineering trips, and then rock climbing and Via Ferrata now.
So you said alpinism. So you also did some more extreme, let's say, on ice, like waterfall ice, this kind of stuff.
No. Ice climbing not, but glacier climbs, yes.
Oh, that's pretty extreme and interesting.
It is extreme. I did Gran Paradiso in Italy alone. Everyone at the hut was waiting to see if I will die that day or not. Literally, they were all waiting me at 8 o'clock in the evening to see if I will return or not. It was just the beginning of the season, going by myself, solo climbing with no ropes, no nothing, with crevasses melting practically, like literally melting. I had an incident, but here I am. I was lucky. Nothing bad happened.
You had an incident? Okay.
Yes, I had
what happened?
Incident. I was, when going up, I've seen the crevasses, they were melting because it was a very warm day. And usually the return goes on a different route because that one is usually risky. But me, I left behind the snowshoes, and it appears considered it would be a good thing to just recover them and take them back to the hut, which was a bad decision making on my part. I started the descent, but by that time it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All crevasses were literally melting, and I fell. I almost dropped into one. I was lucky with my backpack. It held me just enough for me to jump out of that and then swim on the snow. I did it maybe 50 meters. I only needed to do it for 10, but I did it 50 to make sure I'm out of a situation. And it's not all. On the return, I was getting above my hips with each step. I was sinking above my hips, which makes your advancement extremely slow. But when you have the snow and the ice melting on the crag above you with rocks that can fall, it becomes dangerous. Why? Because if a rock falls, you don't make it in time to run from in front of it. Just because you sink with every other step, you sink above your hips level. I got scared. In there, I got scared, and I also didn't know for how long I will sink, for how deep. And it was scary because you never know. Maybe it is 1 meter, maybe it is 2 or 3 with sinking. And then maybe it is hard or impossible to recover and you have to call for help. You don't want to call for help on the mountain. You are alone. It takes a toll on you, on your psychological brain, like on your psyche. There is a toll. And you want it or not, you get scared. And I was not necessarily scared because the fight or flight activated into me and I could not be scared, but I was concerned.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And this psychological toll, I remember I watched one of your videos where I think you were in Australia, and
yes.
you had to call the this SOS from the Garmin service, and it was really interesting because I understand fully how bad it could be. It happened to me once. I have not called any rescue, but it's a little bit of a shame sometimes, and because you start overanalyzing what did you do and which mistakes did you make, and you try to go back and try to explain also to the rescue team basically why I ended up like I did, right?
In Australia, now looking back, I'm wondering why did I got scared of bulls and cows. But the thing is, I didn't realize at the time I was already walking for almost 40 kilometers, which is a lot, with no proper shoes and wet, with no water, no food. And you don't see it because it's the adrenaline controlling you. And is that fight or flight kicking in and making you to keep pushing. But eventually, towards the 50th kilometer, when I activated the InReach and asked for help, a thunderstorm was coming. But it's not about that. It is about my feet being full of blisters now. I could no longer continue walking. It was harder and harder, and now the night was coming. When you look back, you ask yourself, why do you get afraid of bulls, for example? But it was many of them all running in parallel with me, because I was the only human there, and they were curious. Me, I was already tired without realizing it. And again, this psychological toll has that impact on you. You don't realize it, but yes, it makes you weaker than normally when you sit in a controlled environment and you think, I can do it. It really depends. Maybe yes, maybe not.
I think it was funny because when I watched the video, I saw that you were recording this scene of the bulls and cows just running after you. But it's true, like they were not running after you. They was just in parallel. And at the beginning, the first thought was like, okay, yeah, but what's that? Why is he like even talking about it? But true, like in that specific moment, if I was there, probably I would be getting a little bit scared of what's going on. This is a new situation.
Animals are unpredictable. You never know you cannot anticipate their behavior. And you might say, yes, I might scare them or make it. How? If you have 20 bulls running onto you, how do you escape that? And it's not about them necessarily hitting you, but they will cross over you maybe. Who knows what happens? So how do you escape that? And again, it is about our mind. It starts to anticipate too much. And actually, this is what happens on Via Ferrata when people go for the first time and overthink the whole thing. And they get scared of things they think about, but never scared about the real things. Because, for example, on Via Ferrata, no one is scared of falling into the Via Ferrata set. Everyone is scared of the heights.
Yes.
Which is wrong, because heights cannot do anything. But that fall on the Via Ferrata set can break your back.
Yes. So you talk a lot about going solo. And also in your videos, you basically always go solo. When was the first time you did a Via Ferrata solo?
First time.
No way. Really?
Yes. I was on the couch. I've seen this concept of Via Ferrata. I could not understand exactly what it is, but the moment I got the grasp and realized, I can rock climb a mountain without a belayer. Good. I will go and do it. I checked the most difficult around, and I did that, a level D.
Okay.
Alone. So,
and what is a level D?
A level D at the time was me crying there on that level D segment and regretting my decision, not knowing how to get out of it, and praying that I have enough arm strength to just get out of it and stay safe. This is how it was at the time, that level D.
So just for our listeners, because there's also many different types of classifications, right? For the Via Ferrata. I think the Italian one, it's the most messed one. It's just like some letters that are basically the words. And for me, it's a little bit complicated. Then I saw there's like this one you're citing. So you have A, B, C, D, and maybe even more, right?
Yes, it's up to F.
Okay, so basically D, so it starts from A.
You see, again, us reading maps, it is a bit trickier than that, because we label them as level A, B, C, D, E, and F. But then it really depends on who you are. What is your history? Because if you have a level D segment that is an overhang, and you don't have arm strength, maybe you'll fall. You'll lose control. If it is just a level D because it goes on an exposed section that you have to pull yourself up against the safety steel cable, again, with arms, but it's different because in the second scenario, you'll slide down and you risk deploying the shock absorber more aggressively. In the first, you'll drop. Maybe the shock absorber will deploy. The problem there is recovering, because if you are on an overhang, it will be way more difficult to recover. Now, the question is, in the second scenario, going on a straight vertical and you have to pull yourself up against the safety steel cable, most probably you will also leverage the feet. But in the first scenario, with an overhang, maybe the feet are only there to create the vector force and nothing more. And it doesn't help you to advance. And you only have to use arm strength. And if you don't have good arms, what do you do? You don't. So it becomes more than a diff for you yourself based on your history and training. But yes, when it comes to rating them in terms of difficulty, A is like just walking. It is there because some sections are just walking. You still stay connected to the safety steel cable because it is part of a Via Ferrata, but it's perfectly safe. Nothing usually can happen if you don't throw yourself out. And then you have level B, which becomes now technical. You have to pay attention to your surroundings, and continues with level C, where actually you have to be technical and put a bit of effort to just go and complete that section. Then with level D, it is about also strength and experience. Now you have to be really careful and anticipate danger and doing something that can get you into trouble. From there, with level E, it is about having extensive experience, knowing the mountain, knowing the basics of rock climbing, and from there having the strength to just go through the elements of that Via Ferrata. Level F is for enthusiasts. You never know what will happen there on that level F.
So you already tried some level F?
We don't have that many level F. We have to understand that Via Ferrata is for everyone. It is a tourist attraction at the end of the day. It is still an extreme sport. It is still dangerous. You can still die there. But it is about helping the area, the place where the Via Ferrata was built to improve its tourist attraction. Because of this, we cannot have Via Ferrata built in a way that puts in danger the climbers. It is for everyone. It's not as specialized as rock climbing, for example. Because everyone has access to it, there is an unspoken rule to keep it safe no matter what, which means building level F makes no sense because it will expose people to danger, increased danger than usual, and from there make it prone to multiple accidents you don't desire to have, because if it happens, then nobody will go there. You don't want to have that. We have a couple of them, 5, 6, I never counted them, but it's no more than 10, I would say, as a rough estimate in terms of level F Via Ferrata. They should not be built because what point to go there and fall and have a set the shock absorber deployed and calling for help for someone to recover you, or otherwise make a mistake and drop to the ground. You don't want that to happen.
So that will mean it will become a little bit more like too extreme. Would you compare it to rock climbing, for example?
No. Let's stick with why don't we want to go to level F and level G, for example? Because, first of all, you have to make it dangerous to the degree of risking the life of a climber. Because we have to remember, we are limited by the shock absorber of a Via Ferrata. And the forces on the Via Ferrata are way higher than in rock climbing, way higher, the falling forces. Now, to go to a level G, for example, how that Via Ferrata should be done? Because practically you have to push the climber to the limit of falling continuously until that climber will get the technique to solve the exercise. This is possible in rock climbing because of how the system is built. You have a belayer, it can take away the slack, and you can rest, so you actually don't fall there. And then when you fall, the falling factor goes up to 2, not higher. 2, it's already hard for our body and for the equipment, for the safety system. In Via Ferrata, you can reach 4, 6 fall factors up to 4 or 6, which is way more than what our body can withstand. Why will you make a level G? You don't want to do that. Because again, you are forcing the climber to fall over and over again, because this is what gives it the difficulty. Because otherwise, if you are that experienced and you just cruise through that level G, it means you are not satisfied yet again. So now what should we build? Level X? We don't want to do that. They cannot be compared. Rock climbing and Via Ferrata, in my opinion, should not be compared. In terms of, from sport to sport, we can compare them in terms of danger, but we cannot say which one is harder than the other, because it's not fair. They are 2 completely different disciplines. Hence, let's not compare them in terms of how hard they are, because either way, hard means your preparation, who you are as a target. On rock climbing, we have experts, we have people that go through extensive training. On Via Ferrata, most of the times you'll have people that never did it. And whomever will move from level C to level D is because they just have a strength to do that. Usually it is what happens. They go on 10, 15 Via Ferrata, they have great shape, and they say, okay, I will try now a level D. And they do, and they complete that, and then enthusiastically they will move to level E. It's not necessarily technique, then the ability to just complete that.
So sometimes I had the feeling while climbing a Via Ferrata that, yes, you could try to rock climbing, but the fact that the steel cable is positioned in a way or the other does not really allow you always to do that. And there's really interesting comments on YouTube and in the web in general, which sometimes it's irritating because it feels like I know it all, you know. And there's also a term that I have never heard in Italian, and basically it means like you're just pulling the cable. Mm-hmm. And I was so curious when I read that, because there's so many people who are actually very enraged by the fact that you go on a Via Ferrata and you pull the cable to lift you up. On some level, I can understand that you want, you know, if they are very technical, they like the sport, they like to have those kind of very nitty-gritty details. But on the other side, having done a couple of Via Ferrata, I could really see that sometimes you need to pull the cable. And maybe I wanted to pull the cable because it was safer. Like, why should I put myself in higher danger? And then, as you say, like the shock absorber is deployed and I'm there with no shock absorber to finish the Via Ferrata. What should I do, right? So how do you see this kind of, you know, on one side, way of making the sport better, on the other side, making people feel safer, and then at the same time also, you cannot really rock climb completely a Via Ferrata because the position you're tethered all the time and you have to keep changing. So this creates some technical issues, I would say.
First of all, the safety steel cable is tempting. It is there, calling for you to touch it. Like, why don't grab me? I'm here. Just grab me. And if it is a German style, you'll definitely do it because it gives you that sense of confidence and safety, which it is. It increases your safety on a Via Ferrata if you keep holding with one hand while searching for different various other holds with the other hand. Now, the thing is, you are limited by the Via Ferrata set. Just to make it for anyone easy to understand, a Via Ferrata set has the shock absorber, which is this one here. This goes connected to the belay loop of your harness. And then you have these two elasticated lanyards. And you have to keep them both connected to the safety steel cable. The issue with this one is the length. You are limited to this length here, which is a meter and a half when fully extended with elasticated arms. What this means, when you try to rock climb, which is not wrong, applying rock climbing techniques will always make a Via Ferrata climb easier. The problem with that is the risk of falling. You don't have a chalk with you, for example. Your fingers will be slippery and you don't have the same grip. You might not have experience and you might not have a holds because the rock climbing routes, when they are built around these holds. So at the end of the day, they are made to be solved. When it comes to the Via Ferrata, it is made to take you to the top. The only ones that really challenge you to rock climb are the French style, which you have less and less. And now when they build them, they started to call them acrobatic just because there is a lot of controversy around this French style Via Ferrata, like a fully French style. Because in reality, probably the best standard would be to have French style cable on the verticals because it protects you better in case of a fall. But in this case, it is harder to advance because you can no longer pull yourself up against the safety steel cable. Then
but
to have,
wait a second.
Yes, please.
What's the difference between French steel cable and German steel cable?
Yes, the French style safety steel cable is loose with loops at the anchor. So it is really loose. It moves around. While the
Okay.
German style safety steel cable is tightened. That one doesn't move. When you grip it with your hand, it is fixed there. It is
Stays
easy
there.
to pull yourself. Yes, it's still. It is well tensioned. That one doesn't move. The French style has a lot of leeway.
We go.
And because it is a lot of slack there and it moves left, right, like you bounce onto it. You cannot, it's not that easy to pull yourself up against that because practically you end up in an overhanging situation because it is that loose.
Is there
Now-
a technical reason to have it different? Or
Yes. Well, there is a technical reason on the verticals. When you have it loose with these loops at the anchor point, it means, so loose at the anchor point means it comes like this and it goes a bit up below the anchor. And what this means is if you fall on the cable and slide, being loose, the carabiner will fall like this, which is on the vertical axis. Carabiners are made to be the strongest on their vertical axis, and it falls like this. On a German style, based on your situation, it's not always the same, but it can be that on the cable, the carabiner will go like this, so the cable will be like this, and the carabiner will go like this, and now is no longer on the vertical axis, and it can break because of the forces employed there. We don't have recorded accidents about this happening because people are smart and they understand they should never fall on Via Ferrata, and they keep their hand on the safety steel cable, even if others are laughing. And yes, but this is one of the risks, and you never know, because based on your weight, based on how you fall, based on the equipment, maybe it just breaks. It happens unimaginable. Hence, the French style increases the security in case of an incident, but also increases the chance of accident to happen because people now no longer have that well-tensioned safety steel cable to leverage when going up by pulling themselves up against it. Not easy. A lot of variables out there.
Yeah, exactly. The variables, even if I have this feeling, even when you prepare as much as possible, even when you have all the safety equipment, in the end, there always be something you have not planned to happen. And then it happens, and maybe you get experience out of that.
I did it. I returned on a Via Ferrata. I got scared, and it is an easy one. I had comments on the channel with people laughing at me and saying very, very bad words towards my character and who I am, and labeling me in very bad voice, just because I returned on that Via Ferrata. And they say, oh, this is extremely easy. You just have that 1 meter segment. And by the way, I would have done it differently. Well, you would have done it differently. At what?
So you went on a Via Ferrata, you fell, and then...
No, I didn't fail. I got scared and I returned. I didn't do the segment.
Okay, so you didn't finish it, or you just took it like another
I didn't
route?
finish. No, I returned, got down, got out.
You started
I got scared.
Going back? Okay.
No. So I started to climb. I got to a difficult segment, and I've seen it. I've tried to solve it. My brain got scared, and I thought, okay, time to go back. I returned, got out, and drove to wherever I was going.
But did you climb back, or did you take an escape route?
No. I just descended on the climbing route.
Okay, crazy. How long was that?
Ferrata. No, it's a Via. It is an easy one. It takes 2 minutes to go to the difficult segments. Well, 5 minutes, let's say. To go to the difficult segments, it's actually 3 minutes. And then you have a difficult segment, and then you have the rest of the Via Ferrata. But that overhang there, to get to the overhang, you have to overhang below the rock so that you can get in, and from there to touch the overhang. The overhang has almost no support for your feet. So you literally have to leverage only your upper body. And then the exit, now you have to put your leg up. So now when you do the overhang, you cannot leverage the feet. And then if you want to exit, you actually have to put your legs up. And there is the other thing, which is the trickiest in my opinion, is the fact that you don't see around the corner. And I didn't know for how long that overhang goes. Because yes, now I know it goes for a meter, so it is easy because I did it 5 times, but I didn't know that time. And I didn't know what to expect. Will be a meter, will be 10 meters, and I got scared. My brain couldn't manage. I couldn't cope. I
I
returned.
can relate to that very much. So those kind of overhangs are, I've never done one that extreme, of course, but it happened to me like it was just a little bit in that direction. And I think it's the hardest one because if you look at someone doing it, it's different. While you're doing it, you're in a position that you really cannot, I don't know, like think clearly, I would say. You're just like trying to survive because it
It
feels
is
really
about
like
survival.
falling. Yeah,
It is
it's
real.
really falling.
We should try to do pull-ups, one pull-up. And while we have our arms under tension in that pull-up there on the bar, we should try with our hand to just wave from left to right, because this is the movement of making the anchor point transition. Because the
Yeah.
problem with overhangs, you have to do the anchor point transition, which means you will have to rest on your other arm and the legs and then move the carabiners, so the elasticated arms of the Via Ferrata set. Well, in reality, you don't use both hands, both arms. You only use one.
Yeah.
Try at home
Yeah.
to hold your entire body weight in one arm and see how easy it is, because it isn't. We don't do it every day. We walk every day, which makes it easier to leverage fit on Via Ferrata, but we don't use the arms, the upper body. From there comes the complexity. And in general, level E Via Ferrata are characterized by elements that make you employ your upper body to solve the exercise. And that one is the level E segment of it.
It's a really full body workout. I love it for this reason.
It is, yes.
I'm always looking for, I've done many sports. Just few of them really help me to do everything at the same time together. And I think Via Ferratas, it's like very good way. So if we had to pinpoint like a specific set of skills, that are required to climb a Via Ferrata specifically, what would you say those are?
Resilience is the first one. You never know what you get yourself into. And if by mistake you'll start climbing a 6 hours Via Ferrata, it is a 6 hours Via Ferrata. And if you get tired by the half of it, you'll still have 3 hours to get back in case you decide to descend and not continue the climb. And then comes the descent. And sometimes the descent is through the forest, not whatever, with a car or however you think it will be. And you have to spend 6 more hours in the elements, out there, exposed. Resilience, you have to have a resilience. And if by chance you get injured, if they don't come with a helicopter to pull you off, you'll still have to help them take you out of a route. And this means injured or incapacitated, you'll have to keep going. Then it can happen that you get into trouble. Maybe it's not enough water. Maybe, and you have to read about these things. On Schlossberg Via Ferrata, for example, you have a sun hitting the wall after 2 o'clock. If you do the climb in the afternoon, it will be extremely, extremely hot during the summer. And this will exhaust you. And now it is a completely different exercise than maybe how you did it before. So you have to have a resilience. Then you have to have a strength of just understanding that it is an extreme sport and practically it can kill you. It is very important because it can happen that you'll get to a segment, a bridge, and I many times am scared by bridges. I do it the correct way, but again, it is the psychological impact on you. And if you get paralyzed by the fear of crossing that, what will you do? Stay there? You cannot. You have to continue. So you have to have the ability to talk with yourself and to talk yourself into doing that. And it can happen. You might think, oh, I can do it. Yes, but if something happens, your brain will surprise you. So again, we go back to the idea of resilience. When it comes to who you are, if you know you are coming straight from the couch, then don't go above level C. don't get yourself into trouble. You'll manage, you'll do it, will not be easy. But you have to understand that your joints, for example, are not flexible enough. They are not ready to take the effort. As you say, it is a full body workout. And you have to lift your legs. You have to tension your body. It employs different forces on your muscles and joints. If you know you didn't do that, expect blisters on your palms. It is why we advise climbers to have gloves, for example, because out of fear, without realizing, because the adrenaline will kick in and you no longer realize what you are doing, but out of fear, you'll pull yourself up against the safety steel cable, like grabbing strongly, and you end up with blisters. I was checking a singer in Romania. She was taken by her team on a Via Ferrata. She had gloves, but the hand was full of blisters. It was her first time, and I've seen there in that video that whomever was guiding them was assisting her with a belay kit. But still, her fear made her grab the safety steel cable and from there have the blisters. It is mental. More than the training you have to have when it comes to your muscles, it is about the training you have to do with yourself when it comes to your head on Via Ferrata. Because again, they build Via Ferrata to be quite safe, to prevent falls. They know falling is not good for the business. Hence, they try to do it as safe as possible. But again, what scares you, it is your brain. We try to anticipate, and it's normal because we are, as any other animal, want to survive. And our brain tries to anticipate a danger. And if you don't have the education, and it's not your fault, we don't have too much education when it comes to Via Ferrata and the risk of it. And either way, even if you have it, it takes a lot of passion and then time to just read manuals and documentation, and maybe you don't have it. So I many times go up there unprepared for whatever I'm doing because I rush into just doing the activity. Kayaking, when I first time kayaked, I never documented myself on what to do if a kayak like if I fall from the kayak. I just jumped into the kayak and did it. And then I fell. And then I realized I have no clue how to get back in. And it was a dangerous situation where I could drown and die. But I just did it. I just did it. And same with Via Ferrata. And that's okay. It's not anyone's fault. But again, we have to always remember this. Our brain will play tricks on us, and we'll have to face that. It is the demons. And this is what creates trouble, because the moment we get scared or tired, because we are not accustomed to the activity, we are prone to mistakes. And human error is the main factor of trouble on Via Ferrata.
I remember you said on one of the first videos that I watched, it was about, I think, getting started with Via Ferrata. And you said something really interesting to me, that you should establish specific habits, because in those kind of moments that you are describing, you basically tend to stick to those routines that you built in the past, and not on, if you always change the way how you put the carabine on the steel cable, or your way of moving, this kind of muscle memory as well. Basically, if you always change the way how you do it, the moment you have a dangerous situation, then you will just do whatever happens. But if you have like a specific routine built in your habit, then you will tend to do the safest option possible. And that made me think a lot, because there's some parts where, as you said, on the Via Ferrata, you just walk. And you're still tethered to the cable, but you don't have to. So I've seen many people, they just detach themselves. And I don't like that. Like, yes, I don't feel in danger, but it's just a psychological fact that if I keep attaching myself, then I will always do that, even when I'm distracted.
The problem with people doing this is them not understanding that the moment it happens, it happens. And it's not sitting there to announce you, I will happen. A rock falling, for example. And the smallest rock reaching 60 kilometers an hour, for example, has a force that can actually kill you, even if it is small. It is why you should wear the helmet. But let's suppose it's not killing you. It is just making you to lose consciousness. If you are not clipped to a cable, and yes, you have a meter, you have that meter ledge there where you walk and nothing can happen. Except, what if you lose consciousness for whatever reason? And now you drop. There is nothing to catch you. Yes, I know when you are conscious, you feel strong. And here comes the habits. When I almost fell into a crevasse on Gran Paradiso, everything shut it down. I wasn't thinking, I stopped the cameras. It is why I don't have it recorded. Because the moment I felt danger, I no longer thought about recording or documenting the trip. I just focused, and it was only primal. It was this habit activated, and I was only doing the primal things without thinking. I regained consciousness, like being aware of myself, when I reached the first stream of water. Then I relaxed, and I knew I'm out of danger, and now I can take it slow back to the hut. Unfortunately, people many times don't understand this. And the reason nothing happens to them is not because they are that great and strong. It's because they've been lucky. Because that bad thing didn't happen. This is what got them once, twice, 10 times. But eventually it gets to you. And maybe you are lucky up to the end of your life. But it really depends, because if we keep doing it day after day, I was doing the second highest peak in Romania. And a while back, and we were speaking about someone who died there because a young man dropped 80 meters, and we were waiting for the helicopter to come and pick him. And after that, after he was recovered, we were speaking about that death there. He was an expert in Romania to train himself for whatever free solo climb he wanted to do. He died, unfortunately. It gets to you eventually, the more you do it.
Yeah.
So yes, you take these chances, nothing happens, but it didn't happen not because you are that good, just because it didn't happen. That rock didn't fail and it didn't hit you, or maybe it doesn't hit you, but you'll try to avoid it. And now maybe you slip and fall.
So if we had to cluster it, basically an average person needs to have two set of skills. Main, so one is the psychological resilience factors, and then we have a set of physical
well, you have
skills,
to
of
accept
course.
the reality of your shape. If you are in a good physical shape, then you are okay. But if you never exercise, you expect that your body will go through the pain of now exercising. It is natural. You have to understand that. You can go, but expect pain because you are not exercising. As this is how our body works. I'm not putting too much emphasis on the physical aspect because I know that the mental is the one getting people into trouble. Because the way they build Via Ferrata is to discourage you right from the beginning. They usually put a difficult segment at the start of it just to get you tired or to make you not cross that in case you are that weak physically. But the psychological comes way later in the climb, way later. And because of that, you don't know when you start a climb, you don't know what will happen. You are confident. You don't realize that you'll actually get tired and maybe something happens and scares you. Hence, I'm not putting emphasis on the physical just because Via Ferrata, the majority of them, are built in a way to make you give up on climbing if you don't have a physical strength right from the beginning. But the mental comes way later in the climb, and it is very dangerous.
Yes, that's true.
I was with a group, and a friend. She's very dear to me. We have a video on the channel. She had the strength, but she didn't have the mental toughness. Well, she actually had it because she gone through and she climbed a level above her skill set, but it was tough. And it's the mental who did not help her there to do it better. Again, you might have a strength. If you don't have a mental, it is because if you don't have a strength, you cannot start right from the beginning.
So I've watched you recording yourself. So you go solo and you talk yourself into successfully climbing, which is a very interesting techniques. I personally found myself not doing exactly that, but doing something similar, like talking to myself, like the story, how it ended, even though it was not over yet. And that was really funny, thinking about it later on. So apparently, talking to yourself works, maybe because you feel that you're not alone on a certain level. But is there any other technique that you might suggest? Like, I'm also thinking if you are with someone, maybe your friend was able to overcome her challenges, but maybe it was because it was with you or with someone anyway and not alone. So being alone actually plays a role. I personally also felt different when I was with some people or more people or like with just one person. It just feels different. And I get scared more easily, I would say, if I know that help could not come that easily if something happens, right?
There is a problem. When you are with friends, it not necessarily means that they will help you. It is only the distraction. It is only the stories we tell to ourselves. We get distracted by company and we think we are secure. We are not. It is why when you start the Via Ferrata, you have to make sure you take with you and you plug it properly at that time, the safety gear. Don't wait for when you'll have a problem, to then plug that extra safety piece of equipment you have with you. Don't keep it in your backpack. I many times use the Ferrata block, and this is an aiding device, it's not a safety. And I just clip it, like plug it to the belay loop of a sitting harness. I might use it, I might not, but I do that. I go as prepared as I can, understanding that if something happens, only this equipment can actually help me. Yes, someone will come after me and recover me, a helicopter, whatever is the type of incident, but at the end of the day, if I have to sit there for 3 hours hanging and waiting for help, it is the safety equipment helping. Unfortunately, people go up there many times without a Via Ferrata set. They use improvisations. Some other times, they don't take something for helping them with resting, a lanyard, a static lanyard, to help them do that. And this is very dangerous. Going back to what you're saying, yes, friends are distracting you, and it is how we function as humans. We've been in tribes since forever. It is how we evolved. Men were hunting in company of other men, and women were staying home in company of other women. And this boosts our confidence. Then it is the competition. And then it is the example of a peer. If that other person did it, and we can see, we are very visual. And if we watch that person doing it, or if we already did the climb, we again are visual by remembering how we did it. And we spot and identify the elements and we solve the exercise. But if you go alone for the first time, you have to think. You are on your own. And of course, the psychology changes, and now you are prone to be scared and worried and overthink the whole thing, because now you have to see all the danger. When you are with someone, well, first of all, if you are the first in line, you have to show off because everyone is watching you. So you have no choice than to just focus on that. I have to just do it. When I do the alpine climbs, it happens many times that I'm the first in line, and I have no choice. I have to open the path for everyone else. And with the crampons, I'm opening the path, and it has to be the proper path, because otherwise others might slide and they will have to use the ice pick and break the slide. When you are behind on Via Ferrata, you see the others doing it, nothing happened. So mentally you are better off, because you are comfortable thinking, okay, nothing happened to them, nothing will happen to me. You stop thinking of the danger. This doesn't mean the danger goes away. It only means through this peer distraction or pressure or contribution, you comfort yourself mentally.
Yes, that's true. I see you on what level. So I agree. In the end, it's really just a matter of feeling that you can do it and believing that, basically.
Look,
Um,
when I'm alone, and if it happens that I'm also tired, I have many bad comments on the channel. Nobody tries to understand that. Sometimes I go up and down that Via Ferrata twice. I have to go up, mount the camera, go down, recover the other camera, climb back again.
yeah.
And I usually also do it in a way that I'm alone on that Via Ferrata. So I do it at odd hours. And this makes me extremely alone. And when I get tired, sometimes I wonder myself, what am I doing here? Like, I'm risking my life. All this back and forth recording, I understand that I increase the risk of human error. And it can happen. You are not supposed to return on a Via Ferrata. You are supposed to only climb it. And that one increases the risk. What I'm trying to say is even people like me are worried, concerned, and scared when climbing the Via Ferrata, and it's normal. And it gets to you when you are alone and there is nobody around. Because you know if something happens, and this something happening, it might be that you hit your head or break your hand and you cannot even use the Enrich-enabled Garmin device to call for help through that. And even if you press the SOS button, you still have to write the short message to tell them exactly what happened to you. I get scared. Being scared is normal. Actually, it is smart and healthy. Not being scared and being overconfident is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see yourself getting scared on a Via Ferrata, it means you are healthy, normal, and nothing bad happened. Like it's something expected. And if it doesn't happen, you should be worried. If it happens, it means you're on the right track.
Yeah, I think the falling fear, it's one of the highest. I remember I was with some people. Some people really get super worked up for just like a Tibetan bridge, which some of them are very well protected. Some others are much more exposed, I would say. But the fear of falling, it's just crazy. And considering all the strength and all the effort you put to do everything else, you don't even notice that. It's just the thought that you could potentially fall.
Now, if you do it the way I'm proposing, by clipping the resting system as well when you cross the bridges, there is no danger. But if you only employ the Via Ferrata set while crossing the bridges and you lose control, actually there is a risk. Because if it deploys, you end up below the bridge.
Yeah.
And yes, you might not drop to the ground, you might not hit your head, you might not injure yourself, but you still have to recover from that.
And getting up.
Yes.
Like
which
after
is
you
not
fall.
Easy. I've tried it, I've tested it for so many times. You cannot do it. You will need someone to pull you. Yes, I've tested.
You mean you deployed it? You mean you deployed
I tested in controlled environment how a fall might look like using static lanyards, not deploying a Via Ferrata set. And if you are 1-2 meters below the steel cable of a bridge, it is hard to recover because it is a complete overhang there. And you have to lift yourself up against the lanyard of a Via Ferrata set in case it deployed. You have to use that. And now if it deployed, it's your only thread keeping you there. Imagine the psychological effect on you, negative effect, when the Via Ferrata set, when the shock absorber of a Via Ferrata set deployed. Now you know there is only that static lanyard holding you. You should get scared. And then you have to recover. The probability of it happening is low. You're losing control on a bridge. If you lose control and you only use the Via Ferrata set, and if by chance it deploys, the shock absorber deploys, now you might end up 2 meters below the line. It is hard to recover from that. Very hard. Hence, I always recommend when you cross bridges, use the resting system as well. You have maximum 1 meter of lanyard. If you lose control, you'll be held by that and easy to recover because it's the length of your arm. You just grab back again the safety steel cable and continue.
Yeah,
and this makes them extremely safe, and you should no longer be worried.
Because when it's deployed, just for our listeners, the shock absorber is nothing less than a very long lanyard inside. So you don't see it, but you can actually open it. And then it becomes very long, very, very long. I'm thinking like
See
it
if I
would
can
be,
pull it out, this one. No, this one I
how
can.
much could it be?
I can
Is
bring
it
another
2
one,
meters,
this
you
one.
said?
Yes, up to 2 meters, the shock
Okay.
absorber.
So yeah, you are hanging with that, and it's a lot down the bridge, I would say. And then the bridges also move, so they're not like static, like a rock or
That
a
fall
ladder.
there, if you lose control, it will be dynamic for sure, which means the shock absorber most probably will deploy.
Yeah,
Because you swing on the bridge, because this is how
yeah.
you lose control, and then you'll fall on a curve, and that's that. You
And
for
sometimes
sure
there
will
is
deploy
wind.
the shock. Yes,
There is also
and they
wind.
sway quite a lot.
Yes.
They
I
are
think
made
just
to make you scared.
yeah, just that makes people really, really scared. Like I remember I was on this very long bridge, was not that protected, and I did it. And it was quite a big rush of adrenaline, to be honest. And after I did it, my husband looked at me doing it, and he decided not to do it. And by the way, this made me also more afraid, because after I did it, he said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And I had to still climb up, and I still felt like, okay, so I felt not safer enough as someone would have been like, yes, I will do it. I'm into it, and everything is fine.
Yes, but you see,
know?
you committed the fallacy of having a peer with you. What made you feel confident was having the peer instead of relying on yourself and your skill set and the ability to actually complete. And the fallacy is just because you have someone with you, now you think, oh, I'm safe and I can do it. No, it's not about the peer. It's about yourself. You have to trust yourself. I want to touch a point very important: the safety system before starting the Via Ferrata. So we are speaking about falling on the bridges. No, you need to make sure if it happens that you have to rest, for example. When you rest, you will employ that static lanyard or whatever you have, a quick draw maybe, and the sitting harness. You need to make sure before you start the climb that your sitting harness actually can take the weight of your body. So clip the Via Ferrata set and sit into it. And this will ensure you that the sitting harness and the Via Ferrata set, the lanyards are working, they are not cut, there is now no cuts, maybe they get the threads because of the sun, they might lose their strength. And they can break under, like if you put 90 kilograms on them statically, they might break. So do at least that test. Because it might happen that you never fall, but you'll clip your resting system or you'll rest into the Via Ferrata set. And because you are resting, you'll say, now I will lift the whole weight of my body into the equipment. But if you didn't test it at the beginning, maybe the equipment has a fault and you'll actually end up dropping to the ground. Before you start the climb, always test the equipment by statically sitting into it.
Okay, so just at the right beginning, the first, touch point, you
first
go
two
there
anchor
and you
points.
do it.
After the second anchor point, just put your body weight into the equipment. So stay suspended.
Mm-hmm.
And this will prove that just by statically loading the safety equipment, the system, it holds you. Because again, it might be you visually check, but if the lanyard, because of how it was stored, it no longer has its properties, it might be that when you put your weight into it, it will break.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get to find this out at 200 meters above the ground, you know what will happen. It is terminal. You don't want that. Before reaching the third anchor, statically load the system, make sure it holds your weight, and now psychologically, you'll be way better when crossing bridges and stopping for a rest. If I don't do it, sometimes I forget or I rush. I'm worried the whole time. I'm not releasing my hands from the safety steel cable or the metal holds. No. Because I forgot to test it and I don't trust it. Doesn't matter I'm visually testing it and it's properly connected. I need to put my weight onto it.
Yeah, because now it's part of your routine. So if you skip it, then it's a thought in the back
Oh,
of your
yes.
mind.
No, it's a
Staying there.
possibility. It's not about the thought. It is a possibility. How do I
Yeah,
know?
but you know about it, right? If I don't do it and I don't even know it, I will not care,
That one is
right?
another fallacy many do on Via Ferrata because they go up there not understanding the dangers and they just think they are safe. And this is another fallacy. Yes, nothing happens, but again, it's not because they've been so great or the equipment was in proper shape. It's just because it didn't happen. It was chance,
Yeah.
nothing more.
True. So how long have you been doing this now, and how many Via Ferratas did you do? Have you counted them? I don't know.
No, I'm many times returning. This has never been about checking them on a list. I encounter on the mountain climbing or mountaineering trips, many people saying, "Oh, I climbed this. I will go climb the other one. I have 5 high peaks climbed so far." I don't see life like that. It's not about that. I've been to Schlossberg 5 times, I think 5 times up to this point, and I will soon go back again. Because to me, it is about the experience. It is about the exercise. It is about, I know the toll it takes on my psychological state. And to me, that one is training. It is something that I enjoy, and I know how challenging it is for me. I just enjoy doing that. I don't see the point of just going on a different Via Ferrata because I have to check that on the list to have as many. It's not about the many. It is about me. It is about how I feel, how I treat my body. And again, Via Ferrata has to remain for me an activity that I enjoy. Otherwise, I will not do it. It's not about having a list. It is about doing what I find pleasure when executing it. So, no, I don't have that many Via Ferrata because I'm returning to these places where I keep going. They are challenging. I usually don't climb level C, for example, or below. Not even level D. I go with level E lately. And for me, it is challenging. It is a workout that challenges me both in terms of physical exercise and solving the exercises themselves. Enkeduje in Slovenia, for example, it was raining when I was climbing. I am not satisfied. I want to go back again. So this means I will not go on another Via Ferrata. Even the channel is not about putting as many Via Ferrata out there just to have them there. It is about helping people to get into the activity because it is amazing. And if I can, also give them the tools they need for them to be safer and stronger when facing the elements. It's not about, again, the list. It is about the experience.
So do you have any plans specifically? Like you said, you don't want to do, you don't want to say, okay, I want to climb X, Y, Z ferratas in terms of specifically which ones, but you just want to go for the challenge. But is there something that excites you, the idea of really want to do that in the next, I don't know, months, years that come?
I do quite a lot of things. The channel and Via Ferrata is just a very small part of what I usually do. This means I don't have that much time. I literally have to quit my job to be able to climb more. And yes, I have a plan for the next months. But I will return back again to Schlossberg, for example. I will return to a couple of them more, but I cannot say because it is a surprise for the channel. It is part of a couple of series. And this series get to answer some comment questions because I was asked, how can I do that type of activity? And I promised I will do it. And then it is about discovering. I was invited to Croatia. I'm curious. They don't have that much. They are not that challenging. But I'm curious. So I will do that for sure. And to me, Spain is intriguing. I'm intrigued by it. I'm aiming there. Let's see if it will happen this year.
So you mainly went to the Alp region, or there's much more also? I think also in the United States they have a few of them, but maybe they're not that well maintained. Did you happen to go out of Europe by any chance?
Unfortunately for people in America, they don't have that many. And from what I've seen, it is all about making them as commercial possible. This is unfortunate because in Europe, we have them available to anyone at no cost, which is amazing. Now, we don't have that many mountains when you stay and think. In reality, the best mountaineering area for Via Ferrata is the Alps in the whole world. Because otherwise, you don't have them if you stay and think. It is also about the reach. Because yes, you might go on other mountains, but it's very hard to get there. But in the Alps, the way everything evolved from a social structure point of view, it is quite easy to reach even difficult spots. Hence, it was possible for all these Via Ferrata to be built. I'm not aiming to America or any other places. If it happens that I'm traveling, I will make sure to have the Via Ferrata set with me, but only if it happens. I will say, don't go chase for Via Ferrata. Go chase for a complete experience. For example, Cala del Mole in Spain, it is close to Barcelona. Just go for a city break, take the bus, climb Cala del Mole, stay on the beaches there because it's beautiful, and return to Barcelona, and from there you go back home. And that's that. It is a complete experience. You get to do the hike and Cala Ionca, which is a beautiful hike. When you get to climb a Via Ferrata, which is easy, and also have a city break. So why not? Do it like that. When it comes to Via Ferrata, for example, go to Cortina d'Ampezzo, do Lago di Sorapis, for example, climb Sci 18 Club Via Ferrata, and spend some money in Cortina d'Ampezzo because it is expensive and worth it.
Yes.
Why not? In Spain, for example, they are very short, the Via Ferrata, and you can combine them with climbing or other activities. Don't be stubborn and focus only on Via Ferrata. Make it part of your routine. Go also on Via Ferrata. But ideally, what I did in the past month, for example, was not Via Ferrata, was mountain climbing. Reaching high peaks just because it is a nice, beautiful experience and exercise to do.
True. Just push some hike here and there, some city hopping, and
yes,
whatever the place actually give you. There's so many different things you can actually do, and that's true. Maybe some places have the best Via Ferratas, some others hikes or climbs. So I agree. It always makes sense to feel it.
You have to decide why you are doing it. Are you with friends? Just go and do something interesting because you get to chat for stupid things, laugh together, but also be alone there because you are alone. In that Indian row, you go one after the other. And when you do that, please keep 2 anchor points distance. Don't stay close to each other. I see so many people staying close to each other on Via Ferrata, and it is so dangerous.
Because when you fall, you could fall to the
on
next
the other climber.
person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, do that if you are with friends. As I do Schlossberg, just because it is an incredible upper body workout. Or otherwise, German Via Ferrata in Slovenia, I'm going because of a waterfall. I love waterfalls. Musevo, it is beautiful, gorgeous. You have a stream of water. Again, I love the sound of the water. And it is why I'm returning there. And you don't have that many people climbing it. Hence, makes it beautiful.
That's the best
so
part.
Choose, yes, choose why you are climbing Via Ferrata and do it because of that. With family, with friends, alone if you feel the need, for the workout, for the gorgeous, for the views. I would suggest not do it for the checklist. Don't make it a part of a checkbox listing
No,
because it's bad.
absolutely not. Well, it's also, I would say, if you do it as a sport, it's fine. But like if you just do it once or twice, I would say it's too expensive to buy the whole equipment for just twice. I mean, it is still a great experience. When I did it, there was...
Wait. Our life is worth more. Now, I don't say don't go and rent equipment, but they usually do a good job to maintain that and check it and to make sure it is the right thing. And maybe they will maintain it better than you. But I don't think it costs that much, even if you only go twice. If you only go twice in your life on a Via Ferrata, it means you are doing something wrong with your life. I don't believe there are so many things one can do to not have time to climb more Via Ferrata.
You would rather buy it than rent it. That's what you're saying, even if you don't plan to...
I don't see it as being that expensive. Literally, with 150 euro, 150 pounds or $150, you can have a whole set.
But
I think you can buy it. And when it comes to safety, they all are rated the same. Like it's the same safety standard. So they all do the same. When they get more expensive, it's because they have different tricks that makes using them more comfortable. Nothing more.
But don't you think that... Yeah, don't you think that actually you do need those tricks when you're a beginner? Because like if you go for the cheapest one, then you don't have the comfort. And if you are a beginner, then it's also a little bit harder, to do it without the comfort.
I was so enthusiastic when I was in the beginning. I didn't care what I have. I just wanted to climb, and that's that. It didn't matter. I'm now getting lazier, and I need all these tricks to make it easier to advance. Like I have a swivel on a Via Ferrata set somewhere here, just because I'm getting too comfortable, and I don't want to put that much effort. But no, there is no impact, I will say, on the experience of a beginner just because they buy the cheapest set. What I think is them buying it enables them to have an experience otherwise they cannot. Usually you don't find to rent them. And where you can rent them is like Mura and Via Ferrata, which is a place I will not advise anyone to go. It literally is a tourist trap, in my opinion. It is a
What's the name again?
Via Ferrata, Muren in Switzerland. You find it everywhere on Instagram, and everyone is going. And yes, it has that 700 meters drop where you walk on the rungs, but it's only that. The bridge, as you were saying, it is extremely safe. Like you literally have to jump for you to fall there. Otherwise, it's impossible. And it is the place where you can find equipment to rent. And I've seen a couple of other places where they promote this possibility to rent equipment. But otherwise, you cannot. So one way or another, you have to buy it for yourself. Now, again, I don't think it's that... I understand life is hard. I don't have money. It's not that I'm rich. But give yourself this option to experience life from this perspective. Because... who knows, maybe you'll reuse that sitting harness to just go to the climbing gym in your city. Maybe you don't have mountains around you, but you have a climbing gym. And this might open other opportunities for yourself. Because I see fanatics going to the gym to pump their muscles, to look great, and they don't do it for their health, they do it for how they look. And they don't go to socialize, they go to record the TikTok or Instagram videos, reels to just show off. Just go to a climbing gym. They have auto belay devices. You can climb the wall by yourself if you don't have a friend. But ideally, make a friend, and will change the perspective of, the way of doing sports activities. It should not all be about what traps you more into the city. It should be about what enables you to do even more and better with your life other than working and staying in the circular economy where you keep spending everything you are making while working 24/7.
Okay, so for the future, you would just keep... Okay, Via Ferrata is just a small part, you said. So what about other sports? Are you planning or thinking about something else you really want to try that you haven't done yet?
I'm open-minded. It's not about, I never thought about, what I would love to do is to go to Cappadocia and fly with a balloon. I always wanted to do that. Well, ideally, I would also ask a girl to marry me, but I don't know if that will ever happen.
that.
So better, yes, on that. I think
Totally.
it is an interesting experience to just fly with a balloon. I think I'm doing quite a lot of things. What I would love to do, for example, is I've seen this in Spain, for example, and I think in Portugal as well. They have these rock climbing routes above water. So you don't have a belayer, you don't have rope. You just climb, and in case you fall into water. I think I would love to experience that.
Free climbing, basically, but safer.
It is free
because...
climbing. Well, yes, you fall into water. So I would love to experience that, for example. I would love to do more kayaking. Yes, I will enjoy to do more of that. I don't see myself jumping from an airplane, so it's not skydiving. It is jumping in the marsupium of skydiving.
Someone.
I don't see myself doing that. I don't feel the need of doing that. And I don't see myself bungee jumping, for example.
Me neither.
Yes. And
I don't know why, but that drop, I don't know.
I don't see the benefit of it. What I would love to do more is ziplining. Unfortunately, we don't have that many zip lines around. I did a couple of them in America and Australia. I loved them, but around Europe, not that many. I would love to do that more, but again, to be something like Via Ferrata, a zip line built that allows you to actually zip line on it. Muran, it is one of the reasons I'm not going, because they have a zip line, but only with a guide. Otherwise, you are not allowed to use that. So I'm protesting by not going on Muran.
Okay. Zipline is, I think there's a couple of them in the north of Italy, but also in the south. It's called like the Flight of the Angels, something like that.
Yes, or Flying Foxes, yes.
Yeah, it's like, but I think it's, as you said, you cannot go alone. Like you have to be attached to someone who is a guide, knowledgeable, and so on. But it's just like, but there could be probably some Via Ferratas, maybe a little bit more, let's say, not as a park, not as a theme park, but I saw there was one in the province of Brescia. The other day I saw it, that it's a huge park, but it's free, and it's different Via Ferratas routes. And on top, they also have this kind of zip lines. I don't remember the name. I will check it out and I will link it. But it looked not like a park. So that was the upside, I would say. Shouldn't be that touristic, but it's also not completely out alone, where there's absolutely nobody around you. There could be people, of course, because it's some sort of attraction, I would say, touristic attraction.
I see myself doing canyoneering, for example. I would love to do that. I've checked around. That one I will definitely do with a guide, at least in the beginning, until I acquire more experience. It is something that I would love to do more.
Then just keep me updated on your
for sure.
new sports. That would be really interesting to see. But I'm pretty sure maybe you will also record some video so I can watch you in real time.
We will see about that because what I did so far was to fill a gap. What I'm doing now on YouTube is filling this gap about Via Ferrata, where you don't have that much content to help people get into it or stay safe. Now, with other activities, in general, they are commercial. So the barrier to entry is high. For example, kayaking, you need a kayak. People are not really interested into doing that. They will never do it to a degree that, and you need a guide with you. There are some activities where you really, really need a guide. I've tried with mountaineering trips, but people, they just think they can do it, and it's very hard to help by doing that. Because in reality, it is that easy, and again, they are lucky enough not to ever slide on snow, for example, and to be forced to use an ice pick. I've seen many during the winter going without an ice pick. They've been lucky; they didn't lost control, but it is so dangerous, and they are not aware of that. So, yes, a bit hard with a channel to add different content. I'm thinking about that. I would love to entertain more as well, but I think it will be a different channel, and we will speak about various topics.
Then just keep me updated. That would be amazing to watch you again. But I also saw you have done some, let's say, off-topic to Via Ferratas shorts. Some shorts
no.
you had.
Yes, no. I have a Lago di Sorapis climb, for example, Gran Paradiso, and I will definitely add more on the channel, but I have to figure out the way of doing it in a way that will get traction.
Of course. I mean, in the end, you're really there to help people, and you definitely helped me understanding a little bit more about this sport. And that's all what people really look for, because you can search a lot, and there's a lot of people that actually upload those Via Ferratas routes, and you can follow them while they do it. But finding someone like you that really takes the time to explain the details. And really, sometimes I had the feeling I was there with a guide, that I hired someone to explain me the basics, how to start, how to do it. And this is not something that anybody is actually doing right now, at least not that I found. I couldn't really. Someone pushes some knowledge at certain point, of course, while they do their videos about the Via Ferratas and so on, but I don't feel it's enough. Because it's, as you said, safety, it's really important. So if you want to go to do something new that you have never tried and you don't know anybody who did it before and cannot really assist you, then definitely either you get a guide or you go on JetSetYourself, I would say. Really, it's a game changer. I felt it that way.
The problem with social media is content creators, many of them, lying to us by omission for various reasons. And again, many times nothing happens, but they nudge you to go out there exposed just because they've been taken by, or their trip was paid by someone to go there and promote that. Maybe they want to promote the content in a way that gets views and not proper traction. Because of all these subjective reasons, we get lied to. And we go there, and I did that. I followed, and when I'm buying the gear, I wasted so much money by buying action cameras that are not good. And they kept saying it is amazing. They are not. And this is one of the issues with social media. I check Via Ferrata posts regularly, and I see how they do it. I've seen influencers not using or using wrong the Via Ferrata set, or not using a Via Ferrata set at all, for example. And then you go there and watch. When I do something for the first time, I go in that video and I check how that person did it, and I repeat the same identical thing. And if an influencer or a content creator will just omit to say the things, you go out there and you realize, wait a moment, she wasn't alone. She had help. She was with someone and they have a rope between them, but it doesn't show in the video. It only shows that amazing view, whatever. And now you are up alone and you have to face the elements, and you don't have an ice pick, and you don't have rope, and you don't have someone with you in case you fall into a crevasse to help you recover. And you did it all wrong. You've been misled. And it happens quite a lot. So hence, yes, JetSetYourself tries to strive there, but it's not an easy path. It takes a lot of resilience as climbing a Via Ferrata itself.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for joining me today. With all your package of knowledge, it was really amazing to have you here. And thank you from the bottom of my heart, because at least you saved me once. Nobody knows, but I ended up alone. For some reason, I was not alone, but I ended up alone and I had to climb. I had to finish the Via Ferrata. And having the right gear and being psychologically, prepared to know, okay, I'm here. As you did, I switched off my camera as well. It was time to focus. But it helped. Yes, I was a little bit scared, but not that scared. Like I could have panicked for real. At some point, I found an escape route. And if I wanted really to be that panicked, I would have gone there straight away, but I didn't. And this makes the difference really, because there was like some sort of sign, like an X. It was not clear, but I believe someone put it there because it was a little bit more dangerous if you wanted to go that escape route. And that's a split-second decision. And I said, no, you know what? I would rather go on and keep doing the rest of the Via Ferrata.
The known path, yes.
Yeah, which was actually almost over. So in the end, it wasn't like, oh my God, I had to climb another 3 hours. And imagine if I was panicked, if I was not prepared, if I didn't feel safe with my gear to just go through that escape route, who knows how it would have ended. I really don't know. So thank you a lot. And I wish you all the best. Definitely we will keep in touch because I want to know your next adventures.
Looking forward for the next one. Thank you for having me.